Guys, do we want to listen to Harrison Barnes? I think we want to listen to Harrison Barnes. You want to do a twofer? Cheers from San Antonio. What up? All right, let's do a twofer. We'll do Harrison Barnes and we'll do Devin Vassell. That is not in my headphones. Dre, there's no snare in my headphones. Have you ever been hated or discriminated against? I have. Protested and demonstrated against. Here we go. You guys can't hear a word, and you didn't say anything. I just realized it. I got you, though.
Enjoying this sort of break, I guess. You don't usually get these many days in a row without a game.
Yeah, no, it's been good. I think, for us, we actually have a lot of guys who are trying to get 100% healthy. So this break is happening at a perfect time.
Did it felt like Mitch was going to have to put on a jersey last game? Everyone was falling left and right, man.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one before.
We need to know, is Zach Collins okay?
Have so many different things happen. Obviously, Zach falling on his back, Steph getting cracked, KJ, just different things like that. But, I was proud of our
Yeah, is Keldon okay, too?
Just finding a way to win. Obviously, guys stepping up big. Vassell having a great game, things like that. I thought that was a great win for us.
Does it seem like, I feel like Steph showed some guts to get back. I mean, it seemed like he was really hurt when he left that game. Then he comes back and it's kind of the same as he ever was, it seemed like.
Yeah, Steph is obviously an extremely tough kid. Man, a few words. You ask him how's he doing, he's just like, all right. You know what I mean? Just kind of shook it up.
I love that. Man of few words. We knew that already, okay? We knew that already, but I don't know. I don't know where the Spurs create these players. They have some lab somewhere. It's kind of ridiculous.
I kept going, but I think, he just always wants to be out there and always wants to play. And, I think that's just how competitive he is. No matter how he's feeling, he's going to put himself out there.
It wasn't that it just that he came back in, but I mean his usage rate stayed up. I mean he's staying in control of the offense these days. What's impressed you the most as his season has progressed?
I think just his poise. I feel like each game he's taking on just a greater responsibility, whether it's the defensive matchups that he's had to have, whether it's offensively plays that he's had to make. Even as a rookie, kind of playing through some of those things, right? So whether it's like, you have a turnover, towards later into the game, you make a big shot, or you miss a shot, or whatever, you get defensive play, all those different types of things. I think he's showing a lot of poise, just navigating all of those situations.
I feel like he's been more consistently good than having rookie mistakes, right? Like even when he messes up, on the offensive end, which is going to happen, right? He's not 100% comfortable in that role yet, but yeah, even when that's a mistake, he still locks in, man. He absolutely locks in on the defensive end. Nothing gets him down, right? It doesn't turn into a domino effect for him. Like he can make one mistake, and we're pretty confident. I think Chris Paul said this, right? Didn't Chris Paul say that he's the most confident when Castle has the ball in his hands, or when he's on the court with Castle? It was something in that regard. But you can feel it. You can definitely feel it. Like when he's out there, everything's okay. Everything's calm. Even if he makes a mistake, I'm sitting back and I'm like, it's gonna be all right, right? It's gonna be totally fine.
For the first time.
Mitch has had the reins here now for about a month. So,
by the way, I felt that way with Kawhi as well when we had Kawhi. So definitely Kawhi vibes.
In that time, have you seen him do anything to put his own stamp on things?
I don't think it's necessarily about trying to put your own stamp on things, but I think the thing that has impressed me the most with Mitch is just his confidence. Obviously, it's a tough seat to fill, for any period of time. But I think he's just come in with just the utmost confidence. How he's run things, how he's operated things, how he's coaching games, just the level of, I think, even keel mentality he's had, win or lose. I think that's just been the most impressive thing for me.
What, if anything, did you know about him before you came here? I mean, I guess you guys don't scout assistant coach.
Will Harrison Barnes know anything about Mitch Johnson?
Coaches all the time.
Yeah, I mean, there's
Has he
a
played in the summer league? No, he wouldn't have.
lot of different people who I've known who played for this franchise, things like that have had spoken highly of Mitch. But I think to actually see it under the circumstances that it wasn't like we all came into the season and said, okay, he's going to be, coaching us to begin with. It was just kind of something that happened very quickly, and then he's just, like I said, done a great job of just acclimating to that and making sure that we don't feel any drop off or anything's different just in terms of how we operate and go from there.
How do you talk about his confidence? I think we can probably see on the court how a player's confidence shows itself, but when you talk about confidence from a coach, how does that manifest itself on the sideline or like in the
What a great question. This was the question that was in my head. I like this.
huddle?
I think it's just a level of conviction in terms of what you do. Late game plays, in-game adjustments, practice plans, shoot around, all that type of stuff. You never get the sense that he's second-guessing himself. You don't get the sense that he doesn't have full control and grasp of what he's done. Whether you said, look, this is his first time being an extended head coach or he's been doing this for 10 years, there's not any difference in terms of how he approaches things. So I think, like I said, that's a testament to him just in terms of confidence in his coaching ability as well as the staff to continue to keep this thing moving in the right direction.
I bet CP3 becomes a coach after he retires. I never get excited about any player becoming a coach once they retire. I mean, you've had some really great ones, but you also had some really terrible ones. I just don't get that too excited. Coaching is one thing. Coaching on the court is a whole nother thing when you're just balling with the boys. I don't know. I'll say it with my whole chest. I think Tim Duncan was a horrible coach. I don't think Tim Duncan was a good coach at all. I feel like Tim Duncan's aura is what drove him, or what drove guys to listen to him or whatnot. But I mean, even when he was coaching, he wasn't even making the calls. I think Becky Hammond made the calls at those games where Pop purposely got himself ejected. I don't know. I don't get too excited about players becoming coaches. No, it can be great. It has been great at times, but it's also been really bad at times too. But yeah.
Harrison, during the 3-game losing streak, your stats were slashed probably in half, numbers-wise. Was that because Victor was out and you got more attention, or was there some other, because after the last game when Victor came back, you were right back up to those, player of the week type numbers?
Well, I mean, I think Monty's enjoy playing with Victor, right? I mean, it makes the game a lot easier. So that's the statement. But no, I think in general, anytime I can just I can play better, I think it has a better chance of us winning. I've said before, a lot of my shots are based off how the ball is moving in the offense. So I think when the ball is static, when things are going there as a collective, right, my stats are going to be lower. I think when we're moving, we're playing, we're flowing, my stats just happen to be a beneficiary of that.
This is an ideal type role player, mind you.
Of that offense. So I think for us, it's just a matter of, like I said, just continue to move the ball. We give it from side to side. Based on how our team is, any given night, we can get it going. We'll have different nights where somebody will score and things like that. But I think in that 3-game slide, offensively and defensively, we just weren't as consistent as we've been for the season.
So is that an area you've been concentrating on, just defensive stuff?
I think it's as defense, but it's also moving, right? I think anytime we kind of just isolate on one side of the floor, and not necessarily an ice situation, but in a pick and roll, our guys aren't moving, or we're not getting, different type of cuts.
That's odd because players are actually good coaches. I don't know. I mean, they are. We have JJ Redick, who's been a pretty decent coach. You got Ty Lue, who's been a decent coach. Yeah, I don't know. I just usually don't get too hype about it because it can go either way. Because we've had some really bad ones. I guess most recently we've had some good ones, right? But I don't know. I'm not saying he will be a terrible coach or anything. I don't know. Maybe I'm really basing this off of Duncan the most. Steve Kerr. Yeah, Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr is another one. How many superstar? I guess this is the question I have. And maybe it's just a vibe right now, right? I'm totally willing to admit I'm wrong. How many superstar caliber players have went on to be good coaches that attempted and end up being good coaches? Because it seems like a lot of times it's I don't know, it seems like a lot of times it's role players. that come out to end up being really great. Doc Rivers. Is it controversial to say I don't really like Doc Rivers as a coach? He does have a championship, though. Jason Kidd, Doc Rivers, Jason Kidd. 7? I count. You count? Did you just count? No.
I think that's when our offense really bogged down.
Lately, you guys have had some slow starts, I would say, even in
Is
some
that
of
Carolina?
the wins.
I think Carolina's trying to ask.
Is there any common threads, anything you guys have diagnosed that has led into that?
I think it starts with just shot quality. Shot quality, turnovers.
Probably because role players spend so much time watching and analyzing games from the bench. Yeah.
And then defensively communicating. We always have those couple plays at the beginning of the game where we don't communicate a switch or we don't communicate a pick and roll. Somebody kind of, it's an easy dunk or an easy shot, right? And then you kind of have to play with that as the game goes on, right? Someone just putting an easy start to the game. Offensively, maybe we get a little careless. The first play of the game, like, you go over and shoot around more likely. You go over it in timeout. You go over it once again after the huddle, right before you go out there. So little things like that, attention to detail. We shouldn't mess the play up. We shouldn't turn the ball over. Things like that. So I think for us, it's just being sharper in those moments.
Harrison, not sure if you already talked about this, but now that Jeremy's back, can you speak on how the team's been able to adapt now that he's back with you guys?
Yeah, Jeremy's great. He's one of our best defenders, one of our best rebounders. Does an unbelievable job cutting, off the ball, especially in the two-man game with him and Chris. So, obviously, it's great to have him back out there. He gives us a lot on both ends of the floor, offensively and defensively. And look forward to continuing to just have him be out there.
Gosh, he answered questions so clearly. It's ridiculous. He's so good at this. Not super. Phil Jackson, not superstar, but played in the NBA. Larry Bird won Coach of the Year, I think. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just like this bias I've always had when it comes to that. I could be completely wrong. I just personally never got excited when people were like, "What if Manu comes back and coaches?" I'm like, "Does he want to?" I mean, it's like, "What if Tony comes?" Like, "Does he want to?" It's like Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan doesn't even like coaching. I don't know.
I know you've been on this. I don't know if it's a restriction, but you're coming off the bench. How's your body feeling?
I think I'm still on minute restrictions, I guess you could say. My body feels great. Just was talking to Mike. I feel like it's the best I've felt coming back now. My body's been feeling good. So making all the strides in the right direction. So feeling good.
How are you in terms of with this role off the bench and then everything that starting group has been doing? How are you sort of managing filling in that role at this point?
Just kind of seeing, how the start of the game is. If we need more energy coming in, sometimes we get off to
NBA players make great coaches. Okay. Like I said, I could be wrong on this. This isn't one of those opinions that I will fight with you guys about. Okay. I don't feel confident in it. It's just a bias I've always had, but my bias could be wrong. If we were talking about some other stuff, as far as how useful Jeremy Sochan is, then I will argue with that. I saw somebody said, it was a couple people that was arguing with me about this. They said that he's not worth $20 million. That Jeremy Sochan isn't worth $20 million. See, that's something I will fight with you on. What are we even talking about? Look around the league. He's that's minimum $20 million. Are you joking? $20 million will be a crazy great deal. They're like, he's worth $10 million. It's like, okay, so he's worth the same amount as Jocelyn Dale? What are we talking about? That's crazy. I don't know. I wish I had his muscles. You can have these. Just go to the gym. Blue Moon, what are you talking about? Just go to the gym, man. You can get it. The heck? He's not special. I mean, yeah, he's an NBA athlete, but you can get muscles like that. You might not be as athletic as Devin Vassell. That might be out of reach, regardless. But, you can get muscles like that. Just go to the gym, man. I might go to the gym after I get off this live stream. It's 2 a.m. I might still go.
To a slow start, so sometimes we just need that spark off the bench, whether it's offensively or being in the passing lanes or whatever it is. So just trying to bring in that spark however I can.
Have you guys been able to figure out what's going into those slow starts?
That's a good question. We're definitely trying to figure it out. We addressed it, I want to say, last game or 2 games ago. So we obviously know it's a problem. y'all have any ideas, let me know.
Caffeine, a lot of caffeine.
Well, in the old days, it used to be the third quarters were the problem.
Right.
That didn't seem the problem anymore.
Right.
It's the first quarter.
Just to start off, I think, truthfully, I think if we just, they always say it, defense your way into the game. So if we're starting with getting stops, we're in transition, I think that just makes it a lot easier instead of trying to go into half-court sets, playing against a set team. They already talked about schemes and stuff like that. So if we can get out in transition, get some stops early, it'd probably be a better start.
Well, that sounds like Devin Vassell needs to start again. That would be nice. What's Jeremy's contract? Right now? Bro, he's making like $5 million. Like, hold on. I would wait, but dude. He's making $5 million. $5 million. And then next year is 7, the year after that is not. Like this is when he signs his new deal, he's worth 20, like at least. Like that's bare minimum. 20 would be a pay cut for what Jeremy brings. Are you joking? I couldn't believe people try to argue with me about that. Just look around the league. I know that, you know, you throw out numbers and you're like 20 sounds like a lot. Just look around the league. Look around the league. Freaking Boston Celtics paying like $80 million per player right now. 20 is the new 8. Yeah, 20 is like bare minimum. He's worth 20, man.
You talk about defense. There's a little bit of slippage on that end recently. What was maybe playing into that? Because y'all had a really solid start to the first quarter of the season or so.
I don't know if it's just one solid reason, you know, whether it's us playing a bunch of games, whether we weren't locked in mentally. You know, Coach Mitch had challenged us and CP challenged us, and I think we're all challenging each other to get back to, you know, not letting them get 30-point quarters and trying to just stop them.
Yeah, I'm tired of that. Our defense is too good for that. Who do you got for the season, for the in-season tournament now that we're eliminated? I don't even know who's still in the in-season tournament. Can you let me know, Liam? Let me know.
It is. So I think we're getting back to it. We had a big emphasis today, starting off the day with just straight.
He worth minimum 20, guys. Minimum, he's worth 20. He's worth more than that, but minimum you give him 20. It's insulting to go under 20 for Jeremy Sochan. I feel like if you think that he's not worth 20, you genuinely just, I don't want to say you don't know ball, but you're not aware of what guys are making around the league.
Defense, so I think we're getting back to it for sure.
Harrison said that you guys have been kind of focusing a little on ball movement, and keeping the ball moving. What does that look like? How are you working on that to improve it?
I mean, just finding the right shot, finding the open shot. Sometimes you might have a good shot, but there might be some.
And also, I'm listening, but also I think it's a matter of being spoiled as fans as well, because we've gotten so accustomed to pay cuts. I mean, Spurs are known for pay cuts, right? Where you remember Tim Duncan taking it, Manu taking it, Tony taking. I mean, we remember it. We remember all the pay cuts, right? We remember veterans coming to the Spurs for, the less money or whatnot. So I think that's part of it as well. So he's worth the same as KJ's contract. He's worth more than. First off, KJ's contract is insane, right? I think KJ is worth more than his contract. I think Keldon Johnson's contract is insane. The Spurs did a great job with that. A diminishing contract is unheard of. And KJ, I think Keldon just bet on himself. But Sochan is, he's worth more than Keldon.
Somebody for a one.
And even Keldon is underpaid, in my opinion.
More for a great shot. So just getting the best shot we can each time we're coming down. I think that's the best thing we can say for that.
Yes, sorry, forgot it was trying to get it out. So I forgot to get your thoughts on Chris Paul. You guys had a celebration. What do you admire the most about Chris Paul?
I mean, just the professionalism every day. Coming in, he's always talking to us. He's always pretty much here, the first guy. During scouts, if we're playing somebody, I think if y'all could tell, me and him pretty much sit right next to each other on the bench, and he's always in my ear telling me, little tendencies what people got going on, whatever the case may be. Like, he's just so locked in. I know he's always watching basketball. If he hasn't left yet, I know he probably has a game on or watching some film somewhere. So being able to pick his brain and just learn, and he's a basketball genius, truthfully. So just learning from him, all the years that he's put in.
He's a basketball genius. Castle will be CP3's replacement, I think. Oh yeah, for sure.
It's a crazy accomplishment for him to be second all time, and it's just huge.
It's funny you say Castle will be CP3's replacement, but I don't even think we have to think of it that way, right? Chris Paul has said, he's on record saying he feels the most comfortable when he's on the court with Castle. Many times Castle runs the offense, and Chris Paul, takes a back seat. So I don't even know if it's a matter of like replacement rather than him just taking his rightful role, honestly.
So huge congrats to him, and hopefully we can keep adding to his list.
Did he give you advice on how to have longevity? Like, do you see what it takes from him?
I mean,
I doubt he gave advice on that. That seems very specific. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think that's something he would have just talked about. Maybe he has.
Look at it every day, how he takes care of his body. Like I said, him coming in here early. Just a little bit of everything. I mean, I don't want to spill and say too much because, CP is CP, but, I mean, just the way he approaches the game, I think a lot of us can learn from him.
He said that, also said that you guys hold each other accountable. In what ways do y'all hold each other accountable after the games with you guys?
Who do you think is going to win the Rookie of the Year race? I want it to be Castle so bad. I don't know. McCain's still doing well. I haven't seen his last couple games.
Just talking about stuff that, like you said, whether it was ball movement, whether it was defense, whether it was a slow start to the first.
Actually, as far as rookie ladder right now, let's see. So Castle is top 10. I did this on was this the same segment? It might have been a separate segment. It's getting late. 2 a.m. in the morning. He is top 10 rookies and playmaking talent, and then he's also number 1 in the rookie ladder as well. So yeah, it can still be Castle. It should be Castle. I think McCain gonna win it. Yeah, I think his stats are pretty good, right? And they don't base rookie of the year based on your record or anything. So we can't even pay attention to those two. So
this third quarter, I mean, it's just whatever we think good or bad, we talk about it and we just try and adjust to it so we don't make the same mistakes.
Harrison mentioned that he can tell that Mitch is growing in confidence as, a big seat to fill, obviously, but growing in confidence as coach. What have you noticed in terms of how he's been able to kind of make this job his own, so to speak?
Yeah, Mitch has been great. Like I said, I've worked with him since
I love questions about Mitch Johnson because we need to know as much as possible, right? Because this could legitimately end up being Pop's replacement. I don't think Pop comes back. Not me being negative, just me being realistic.
My first year, and he's been nothing but great the whole time. So I think he's, like you said, finding that voice, knowing.
How do you feel about talk about Giannis possibly coming to San Antonio? I feel like it's just overkill, right? The Spurs are trying to build a dynasty right now, and obviously Giannis coming, it will be great, it will be wonderful, it will be awesome. But he does demand a big sum of that cap space. Not to say we can't afford it, because we can, but yeah, it's just quite a few limitations, I think, for the future if you throw Giannis in the mix. I just don't think it's worth it. And then also if you have to, because we have trade form, it would be quite a bit. I don't know. My wife is upset. No news on Pop. Yeah, I don't think we're going to get much news, to be honest with you. The only positive thing I can say about the Pop situation is Mitch Johnson a few weeks ago said that he talks to Pop, and that was right after the incident. That was like a week after the incident. So I just hope he's okay. I can care less. At this point, I can care less if Pop is on that court. I can care less. I just want him to be okay. All right. He's much older. He's done a lot for the franchise. Obviously, if it weren't for him, we wouldn't all be here. Yeah, we would. I was about to say we wouldn't all be here talking about the Spurs, but I don't think we'll be as positive. We'll probably all still be Spurs fans. As long as Manu Ginobili, for me, as long as Manu Ginobili was still on the Spurs, I would have been a Spurs fan initially. Maybe. I don't know. Because Spurs probably wouldn't have won as much as they did. Maybe they don't get Manu. I don't know. I have no idea. But we can say that a lot of our fond memories is basically directly because of Pop. Giannis being on the Spurs would be great, but it ain't going to happen. I'm not. We'll kill our future if we got Giannis. I just don't see a point in doing it. It seems overkill. It seems like a desperate move. You know, you don't have to do that. Don't be, well, I guess the Mavs went to the finals, but they didn't win the finals. I guess we'll see how this season goes. But just try not to be the Mavs. I don't think Giannis is a good fit. Giannis dominates anywhere he goes, you know. I think he's talented enough where you don't have to necessarily worry about does he fit as well when we don't even have a great idea of what. Yeah, I don't know.
When to get, you know, when we have a slow start, I want to say last game, he was very animated in the huddle. I'll say it like that. So, like I said, I think just him finding his voice, him knowing how to push each other. You know, sometimes it's screaming, sometimes it's just challenging us.
Mandy, I would have been able to answer that before with confidence. Now I have no idea. You said, do you think we'll make a trade before the trade deadline? Before I would have said Chris Paul. But it seems like he's enjoying his time so much with us right now, and I don't think the Spurs would want to part ways with them. I have no idea. Is it possible they make a trade deadline? Sure. But the Spurs, they don't get too antsy with things like that. You know, it has to be worth it. It has to be absolutely worth it. And if it's not absolutely worth it, they don't mind waiting it out until we look at our draft position and then see if we can make some moves in that during the offseason. So I don't know. If I had to put my money on it, I'm going to say we don't make a trade at trade deadline. But, you know, before I would have said Chris Paul easily. But I don't know now.
At the end of the day, he's been doing great. So, you know, I appreciate him and look forward to these next couple, however long.
Can you tell that he's becoming more assertive? Like, is it one of those things where maybe he was a little quieter at first?
Very animated in the timeout. That's all I'm saying.
Kevin, I noticed on the defensive side, since coming back, you're a lot more active. You seem to be, you know.
Giannis would fit Wemby rarely in the paint anyway. Yeah, that's a good point as well. Like I said, I'm not really worried about fit when it comes to Giannis. I mean, it'll be fine. He's literally Giannis, you know. It's not really something you really worry about. I just think it's not necessary. I just don't think it's necessary. I think that's a panic move.
Really locked in.
It's going to take a lot to get him. It's going to take a lot to put him on this roster. So, a lot of sacrifices.
Is that an area that you worked on while you were out?
Truthfully, I mean, as much as I want to say yes, I really couldn't with all the, you know, I was limited to do a bunch of stuff. But I think just me being healthy, me being able to, you know, my knees feeling good, my foot's feeling good, me being able to be mobile again, I think that's just really was one of the lingering factors of me being able to just get in the passing lanes and be the defender that I know I can be. So, like I said, I feel great, so I'm looking forward to getting back to it.
Has Mitch been your pregame workout guy? Is that
Mike?
You don't know that.
Pretty much through everything, player development, even when I do little workouts with Mike. So,
King Capo says, he was responding to someone in the chat, it's a gamble as far as like giving away all our picks or whatnot. He said that's a gamble when it comes to picks. We don't know if those future draft picks will even be good. You can't really think like that. He said I would definitely take Giannis over those picks. You don't know that. Now the odds of those picks, you know, being as good as Giannis, like every single pick being as good as Giannis, I don't know about that. But the odds of the sum of these picks, really solid picks, you know, adding to a dynasty, not just a championship or two, but a genuine dynasty, I think that your odds are a little bit higher there, you know. You can't look at picks are very valuable in the NBA for a reason. Teams don't just give them up willy-nilly. That's what I was trying to say. I can't speak willy-nilly. And that was one of the reasons why, like, think about the Atlanta Hawks picks, right? The reason why this is so insane is because it was so dumb for them to give up all those picks for DeJounte Murray. You know, at the time, you know, DeJounte Murray being an all-star and them thinking, oh, we can get back to the finals and be super successful. Of course, I would take DeJounte Murray over. I'm not saying DeJounte's on the level of Giannis, but of course I would take DeJounte Murray, you know, over these picks. But now I think they think way differently, right? They would definitely want those picks. So you can't just freely give away your picks and just say we're good, you know? And even the way that the Spurs have set up their picks is actually really impressive. Like the fact that they trade away their 8th overall this in this past draft, and they end up getting, let me make sure we got it, the 2028 and the 2030. I think those were the two. Oh, was it 2030 and 2031? It might have been 2030 and 2031. That seems like it's so far away, which it is. It is. It's a good chunk away. But around that time, the Spurs know what they're doing. Around this time, we're not going to have good picks, right? Our timeline, we are not going to have good picks by that year. But Minnesota, at that point, they could very well fall off, right? They're trying to do their winning now. They could very well fall off by that time, and then you have 2 great picks right here, and you're constantly adding to the roster, even though you're in the mix for championships. Like that would be insane being able to do that. Or, you know, it could be another effect where, okay, you know, 2030, 2031 drafts don't look that great right now. Minnesota's still doing their thing. Well, you can trade those away and bring some veterans to the team to prolong, you know, your winning. So these first round picks are very important, and I wouldn't just say, yeah, whatever, get rid of all of them, bring Giannis. Yeah, instant gratification for sure. You know, we'll enjoy the next few years, but the Spurs want a dynasty, and you don't want to just throw it off. Bulls pick might still convey. Yeah, Bulls pick might still convey this upcoming draft. Now, if you're talking about getting rid of the Hornets one, bro, I think we probably could get rid of the Hornets one if you wanted to. I think it turns into doesn't it turn to a second next year? I think it turns into a second next year. Their pick has not been conveying. Giannis is 30 and is a slasher type player. How long he got left? Sure, he'd be good for a few years, but we want to compete for the next 20 years. Yeah, we're expecting Wemby to have a very lengthy career, and I mean Giannis could play for a very long time from here, right? But it just doesn't seem. It just seems like overkill. It seems like a panic move. You don't have to do that right now. Wemby's prime starts in 4 to 5 years minimum. Giannis will be 35. Yeah, Giannis will be a little bit older. It's just not worth it. It doesn't make a lot of sense. So yes. Ideally, first, because how good Giannis is, how historically good Giannis is. Ideally, the next few first round picks that we get won't stack up to Giannis, right? In their career. Maybe they won't end up being as good as Giannis. But all these picks put together, maybe not some of these seconds, but all these picks put together, you can create something really special, right? Even if a big chunk of these first round picks end up being role players, you can you can have something special there. So you don't want to just throw away picks and just say, they're just a number. You know, teams fight tooth and nail to acquire picks. It takes a lot to get any team to come off of their picks. So I would not just, that's all I have to say about that. So I get what you're saying, though. I get what you're saying. You are right. I do believe that all these picks, I mean, I can make that bet and probably win it, that none of the picks that the Spurs have up to 2031 will end up being a Giannis. I mean, sure. None of the picks the Spurs end up being a Duncan, and you know that Giannis is that level of greatness. You know, he's not. I don't think he's better than Duncan, but you know, he's one of the greatest ever. So, Spurs wasn't really known for making trades for one superstar. No, they've never really done that. You know, as long as I've been a Spurs fan, I haven't seen them do anything crazy like that. If anything, we definitely would trade those 26 second rounds. We have like 8 of those, assuming Bulls and Hornets didn't convey this year. I don't think the Hornets will convey. I think Chicago's turns into a first next year. I think Chicago's turned into a first next year if it doesn't convey this year. I could be wrong on that. But Hornets, yeah, pretty sure that's a second. But yeah, 2026, we got like what, 4 right now? Yeah, 4. You can trade those bad boys away. But yeah. What did Kevin say? Oh, okay. Yeah, I've responded to that already. I just saw it. Let's see. Didn't we pay Richard Jefferson $20 million? He was terrible. He ended up being a decent role player, but like, Spurs at that time, you know, we were on the brink of championship team, right? Trying to get back into the finals, and we desperately needed a small forward. That's what I mean. You know, you get desperate, you need something, but I don't think he made 20. It seems like quite a bit. Crap. Okay, this is it. Yeah, he didn't make 20. His first year with the Spurs, he made 4. Oh wait, no, it was 20. Wait, what's the asterisk for? Current US dollars adjusted. Oh, okay. Yeah, today it would have been 20. So yeah, that makes sense. 14, 20 today. Yeah, he would have been worth, at that time, he would have been worth that, I think. So he made his most in his career with the Spurs, but not by that much. And then his second year, 8, and then year after that, 9. So yeah, he would have been, at this point, he would have been worth 20. And he was another player that had already been to the finals, so with the Nets. You guys remember that. I don't have to tell you about that. You remember. Which contract was worse, Gasol, Jefferson, or Zach Collins? Gosh, I had to remember Pau Gasol's. I feel like Pau Gasol's contract was pretty nice, man. Pau Gasol salaries. I'm gonna go with Pau's. Do I want to go with Pau's? I guess I would have to go back and look at what guys were making around that time. But it got to a point where were we even really utilizing them? It's kind of a similar thing, man, honestly, because Pau Gasol, the issue that we're having with Collins is kind of the same thing that happened with Pau, at least in my opinion. It seemed as if we really needed them to be more of a stretch. And yeah, let's see. Man, that's a tough one. I don't know which one's worse. I mean, the Spurs just straight up released Pau Gasol, right? Gasol was a disappointment for sure. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Pau. I feel like the expectations for Zach Collins aren't the same they were for Pau Gasol, right? I'm gonna go with Pau being the worst contract. All right, in a segment.